Alfred Hawthorne Hill was born 21 January 1924 in Southampton, England. His father, a former circus clown, was quite strict with his son, and his parents' frugality shaped Benny's attitude towards money for his entire life, leading to a phobia of spending money. Though he found school boring, Hill's classmates remembered him as the class clown. After dropping out of school in his teens, Benny worked as a milkman before seeking his fortune in London, where he found work in the props department of a theater company.
Oh, I was a milkman, yes. When I left school at about, 14, 15, I worked for a coal company for 3 weeks. I worked for Woolworths as a stockroom clerk and General Dog's Body for about 6 months, and then about 6 months I went on the milk route.
In 1942, Hill joined the British Army, where he trained as a mechanic and served in Normandy. While there, he entertained the troops in variety shows. It was at this time that he adopted the professional name Benny Hill, in homage to comedian Jack Benny. After the war ended, Hill worked in radio, but after seeing little success, moved to television, making his first appearance there in 1950. Eventually, Hill began writing his own ideas for a show. After spending 7 weeks on his scripts, Hill presented his idea for a sketch comedy to the BBC.
I think television's going to need material. As I wasn't doing terribly well as a performer, as a comic, I thought I'd try my hand at writing.
The channel was so impressed with the pitch, they offered him a deal on the spot. And The Benny Hill Show made its television debut in 1955.
Thank you, Hart. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Well, ladies.
Inspired by the vaudeville stylings of Hill's screen idol, Charlie Chaplin, The Benny Hill Show's pioneering musical format combined live, on-stage comedy with pre-filmed segments, making audiences laugh with comedy that was heavy on slapstick, innuendo, and parody. Hill's trademark, an impish choir boy's grin, gave slapstick a whole new meaning. The combination was an instant success in his home country, making Benny Hill a household name. Due to his phenomenal success, Hill made a few cameos on the silver screen, appearing in Who Done It?
You're so helpless, you're so timid,
Light Up the Sky, Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and The Italian Job.
Such a notion! I mean, what do you think you're doing? That's something special for the Baron's birthday.
Let me tell.
In the 1970s, Hill left the BBC and joined Thames Television, who brought The Benny Hill Show to the United States, where it found enormous popularity. The show would go on to air in over 140 countries around the world.
2044, 2045.
Hill's enormous success came with equally enormous wealth. However, he never owned a car. He only bought groceries when they were on sale and never left the modest apartment he rented. Hill wore his clothes until they were threadbare and would glue the soles back on old shoes to make them last longer.
You can only wear one shirt at a time, one pair of trousers at a time. You only eat one meal at a time. I'm on a permanent diet. I can't dine at Maxim's every night, much as I'd love to.
In the late 1980s, critics started to complain that Hill's humor too often crossed the line from good fun into sexism.
I don't think I go beyond the bounds of propriety. I try not to. You can't be saucy anymore. It's very difficult to be saucy when, everything is so permissive. Well, it's over now for tennis.
In 1989, he was informed by his studio that The Benny Hill Show had been canceled. He was deeply hurt.
Business is business, and I don't mind, them saying we've had enough, or we can't afford it, or whatever. I would have liked a little bit of a small pat on the back, because I'd been there for 22 years.
Although he remained a huge international star, Hill began to eat and drink heavily. And 3 years after the cancellation of his show, Benny Hill suffered his first heart attack, and then declined a much-needed heart bypass surgery that would have extended his life. In April 1992, after friends could not reach Hill by phone, and a neighbor had heard his television on for days, Benny Hill was found dead on his couch in front of the television, surrounded by money and uncashed checks. He had passed away days earlier. He was only 67 years old. Although Benny Hill's comedy outlived its time, he influenced numerous artists all over the world. The British tabloids had worked hard to find disparaging information about Mr. Hill, but the worst they could say was that he occasionally rode buses and often entertained disabled people. Benny Hill left behind no survivors, having been rejected by the two women to whom he proposed marriage. He was buried at Hollybrook Cemetery near his birthplace in Southampton. Shortly after the burial, grave robbers broke open Mr. Hill's coffin, hoping to find a treasure trove they believed had been buried with him. They obviously failed to understand that Benny Hill's greatest treasure, his kindness and passion for bestowing laughter, had perished with him. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell to be notified of new videos.